little work thing. Little work thing for the Civic Association today. Sheila joined our Civic Association last year, 2 years ago, whatever. And it sounds like she might be interested in being a volunteer to be considered for SWAC membership, and I know we are needing a new SWAC member. And as I wrote out to everybody, Sheila, I don't remember if I remembered to copy you on it or not, but I should have, to say that I thought you would be a terrific member for the SWAC, because unlike some of us who are, tree huggers and have been composting for all these years or decades, and so don't need to be talked into it. You're a very smart lady, but you needed to be talked into it. Mm-hmm. And that the county mailings didn't talk you into it, but me hammering you did, hopefully. And so I think you are the sort of person who we actually could learn from tremendously, of somebody who is intelligent but doesn't inherently do all of these things, how we best give the messaging to convince them that they want to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's how come Sheila is here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening.
Yeah, and so Sheila, Kevin is the liaison from Department of Environment, and Dave and Bill are longtime tree huggers from the county, and I think Mohammedan is also a longtime one, but I'm not don't know him as well. And let's see, are there other people on?
Good evening, Ms. Carpenter.
I think that's us.
I'm sorry, Kevin. I didn't catch what you said.
You're muted, Kevin. You're muted, Kevin.
I'm sorry. I said good evening to you, Ms. Carpenter. Nice to meet you virtually.
Yes.
And hopefully you'll become a member soon.
We'll see.
So once you say you want to, Sheila, it has to go through this woman, Marion Brewer or Brewster or something like that. And I don't know if it's her or other administrative crap in the county, but like for Dave and me, it took what, 1.5 years from when we were nominated by our council person until we were actually cleared to be on it.
Okay.
Because it's such a high security commission, you obviously have to get cleared, Yeah, right. I don't know.
You never know what secrets might come out.
Exactly. Yeah, these secrets, like what I eat and throw into food waste composting.
Yeah, they have an FBI background check they do on you too.
Okay.
Only kidding.
I figured you were, because I once applied to the CIA, and then I said, you guys know more about me than I do now, because I kept having to ask kept having to go to my parents. What is this?
So let's see. Nancy Meyer said she's coming. I haven't heard from anyone else.
Nancy Meyer is here.
Nancy, oh, there's Nancy. Sorry. Duh. Sorry.
Okay.
Blind here.
Right.
I guess I was looking for pictures and my brain was not working into words like it's saying Nancy Meyer. Ah, now there looks like Nancy.
That's me.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's see. What is stupid computer doesn't say what time. I just moved over to a PC, which I hate because I'm a Mac person. The stupid thing doesn't say what time it is. Okay, so we're after 6 o'clock.
6:06.
We probably should get our button gear. Oh, thank you for updating the agenda, Kevin. That was very nice.
Yes. Sorry, I
Uh,
wasn't able, I wasn't able to include the number one item in the agenda that I distributed, so I included it here. My,
Appreciate,
my apologies.
I appreciate that very much, you putting it on. I'm wondering if we should do 2 through 5 quickly,
Mhm.
that because otherwise we're never going to get back to them. We're going to spend the whole hour on one. So if we spend like, the first 20 or whatever, 25 minutes on 2 through 5, then we've done them. So take it away, Kevin. Tell us 2 through 5.
Okay, good evening. Item number 2, which is SWAC's annual report. I look at the 2017 report that was given to us by Bill, and I checked some of the items that's to be included in the report, and here are the main components of that report. So there's an overview which cites the county code provision creating the Solid Waste Advisory Commission, roles and responsibilities, and the required number of members. And then component number 2 talks about the activities of the SWAC. So in your case, you'll be making a list of activities that you have made in 2022. And the third part, which is missing in the 2017 report, is the assessment and recommendation part. So I was wondering if you're interested to include that in your report.
Definitely. I think that's the most important part.
Right, because the 2017 report is merely descriptive. There's no analysis whatsoever. So I think it would be good for your group to come up with an assessment and recommendations.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And then item number 4, component number 4, includes documents such as the current members, your bylaws, etc., whatever you are interested to include. So these are the components of the report that you will include in your annual report.
So in the 2017 one, thank you very much for sending it out, Bill. The overview section goes on forever. Do we have to be so pedantic and verbose as that?
Say that again, Barbara.
In the 2017 one, the overview section goes on forever. It's super long. I mean, it lists verbatim the county code, and it keeps having all these verbatim things.
I think you just need to capture the key provisions. It just need to be in a summary form. You don't have
but
to.
It can be much, because I thought it might be more useful, because I kind of feared if that report got to a council person or a county executive or something, they'd start reading it and fall asleep. And I thought if we get into the meat a lot quicker and have the county code and all of that stuff in an appendix, that they can find it if they want, but they don't have to wade through it. It might make it a little more approachable.
Yes, you can, because there's no hard and fast rules for the template. I mean, you can be flexible in terms of how you present your activities. But I think in the report, there has to be some kind of a background, a brief background about the current SWAC membership. So I'm not sure how you plan to approach the report, but it would help if you have the background information first before introducing your activities.
Right. Yeah. So I will write up a real rough draft and send it out to everybody for hopefully lots of edits / suggestions / rewrites. And then you all can see. So at the moment, my Mac with all my information is sitting up in Baltimore at the Hopkins IT office. And I have this PC here that I don't know how to use. So I got to kind of wait until my computer life returns to I can access stuff. And either I get my Mac back to use or I learn how to use this PC. But hopefully that will come out in not super long.
Hmm.
Or does somebody else want to take it over and do the first draft of the report? I would be very happy to shovel it off to someone. Am I hearing a fight for takers?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, if somebody would like to fight for the takers, please let me know. And if not, I will try to get something out to you guys. And then we'll appreciate comments. Does anybody ever look at this, Kevin? Or is this just window dressing?
The county executive office looks at the report, the SWAC annual report, and the DOE director.
They actually do look at it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so then we'll do it. Sounds good.
Barbara, do you have any time frame for the draft?
There isn't an official due date, right?
That's correct, yes.
Good, I'll meet that due date. I guess it kind of depends on when I get my computer back with the stuff on it and or when I learn how to use this stupid PC. Do you know how awful PCs are when you're used to Macs?
No.
Sorry, editorial comment here. Sheila heard me bitch about this earlier today. Yeah, but trying to do a report on something that I move my cursor to the wrong part of the screen and it deletes the document I'm working on. It's horrible. I mean, why would you delete a document by moving your cursor to some part of the screen? Whatever, sorry for bitching. Yeah, so anyway, I got to get that a little better before I try to do something unless somebody else wants to do it.
I just have a question.
Please.
When typically is this report due? And I presume it goes to the county executive and the county and the council. Is that correct?
Yes.
I believe last time we determined it didn't say when it was due.
Okay, so but it's for calendar year 2022. So
Right.
You know, there's also a thing about looking at the budget, some budget documents in our direction for activities. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of things in our, I'm not exactly clear if there are direction for activities or permitted list of permitted activities, but
I think there
there
are
are a ton of
activities
things
that,
in there that are way more
are-
than we could possibly do.
I was just thinking about the county schedule, just thinking that the budget preparation starts, you know, the beginning or the prior year and then is finalized, you know, before the new year start, the county year.
Nancy, for example, our recycling section submits an annual report to the Maryland Department of Environment on our recycling tonnage. So it's in calendar year and we submit it first quarter of the following year.
Okay,
So I suppose that's the time frame as well for the annual reports to the county executive. Just my thought about, you know, the submission of the report.
so it goes in by March 31st.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So we could decide on a date. If we wanted to shoot for. Although it's the end of,
Yeah.
it's mid-February. I mean, we haven't been that active, so it shouldn't be
Yeah.
that onerous.
I mean, I don't think there is that much to put in. I don't think we're aiming for it to win a Pulitzer Prize. You know, it's just a list of stuff. It shouldn't be that onerous to put together. But I got to get like my monthly notes from the meetings back to do our activities.
Hopefully.
And like,
this
I know
time-
I had done a nice write-up after the tour, that lovely tour that Kevin had done for us of the landfill and all those and the MRF and whatnot. And I think something like that, putting it in an appendix would be nice. But I gotta get that back from the computer. Or was that in 2021? Was that in 2021 or 2022, Kevin? The tour?
Last year, 2022.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I mean, that was it was an activity that helped us members tremendously. It didn't help the county any, but or the environment, but it helped us members tremendously. So I think that was a great thing to put in, or would be a great thing to put in. Yeah. Okay. Now we didn't do such a report in a year ago for the 2021. Do we want to do 2021 legacy fill-in report, or just bag that?
I would think you'd want to bag that. But
Kevin, any input?
You can probably include some activities in 2021 for your 2022 report, and just make a note in the report that you're adding activities conducted in 2021, I think. Since you
Okay.
didn't submit a report in 2021.
Okay.
But just make it clear in the 2022 report that there are activities included covering 2021.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Barbara, do you want to look at setting a tentative date for, so we have a schedule?
So if I'm doing it, I need to have my computer back, or at least get the data from my other computer from Hopkins. And I don't know when I'm getting that, so I'm a little reticent to set a schedule. I mean, I can harangue the IT guy there, but you know how successful haranguing IT guys is.
Well, so are you going to draft most of the whole thing? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I would be, if somebody else would like to do it, I would be thrilled if they do it. If not, I'm very happy to take the 2017 model and do a draft for you guys to redline.
So I'm wondering if we could, if it's, you could see, we could shoot for the March meeting to have that draft, and then, like Kevin's, maybe, have a comments in after that.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
a week or so we could try to maybe get it try to shoot for the end of the first quarter or the beginning of April might be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I would urge that we don't, since there isn't any firm date it's due by, I would say we do it when it works with our lives. And yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have it by the end of the first quarter if that works, but yeah. So hopefully within 2 weeks, my computer thing is all resolved and I'm not hating PCs as much and can actually work on it.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting that
and can
maybe
get it,
we
yeah.
have a tentative schedule. If we miss it,
Sure.
we miss it. But if
Sure. No,
the other-
it would be nice if I could have it done and you guys could have all put edits in it already before the March meeting, that then we could at the March meeting maybe go over things a little more
Sure, if you send it out sooner.
massaging.
then-
Yeah. I will try to aim for that, assuming computers are consistent with it.
Barbara, if you can't get your computers back in a reasonable amount of time, maybe you should let us know, and then maybe one of us or several of us could pick up the slack there.
Okay, terrific. So let me give like the IT guys 2 weeks, and then either it's back and I can get working on it, or I will have to ask somebody else to, or I can try to pull up stuff I have and sort of hammer together things, but ask somebody to put it together in a format. Sounds like a good plan.
Barbara, I would also suggest, since we're sort of moving in a more sort of intentional focused direction these days, that we could include a cover letter to the council, to the county executive, about sort of some of our, anticipated activity for 2023. That might be kind of a nice, kind of introduction to what we're doing this year, and get them to see that, the commission is actually, more functional than it has been.
That's a
And can
great
anticipate
idea.
in a positive way, the new year, and send a courtesy copy to Andrea.
That's a great idea. Shall we talk, do you want to draft up this letter? Or shall we talk about what goes into this letter? Like, we haven't talked about what would be our activities other than, a couple of the really obvious ones.
Why don't we
would-
talk about what we're doing? If you need help, I can do it.
I mean, because let's see, so let's just very quickly then go over what would be the activities.
Well, why don't we have our meeting, and then that'll be some of the activity.
Okay,
Yes.
That'll be easy. I mean, it's really it'll just be saying whatever, highlighting some things we're moving towards, like, really reviewing the 10-year plan, and some other things I think we're going to talk about tonight.
Mhm.
okay. Sounds like a great idea, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Sure.
That's good. Okay, so that was a topic. Kevin, can you please, sorry to trouble you, to go back to the agenda? Yes, so that was number 2. So number 3 is the solid waste plan. So Sheila, this is, it's called a 10-year solid waste plan, but it actually comes out every 3 years. And so for some reason, it's called 10-year. And so we were to give suggestions on it, and there's slightly a contention if the SWAC gets to give suggestions on the upcoming plan before it gets released to the county, or if we can only give suggestions reading the previous one and then give suggestions on the draft new one once it gets released to the whole county. And so we had made a bunch of suggestions on from the previous one. Okay, take it away, Kevin.
So what you will see on the screen, these are the consolidated suggestions from your previous meetings. And so RRD will start doing the updating of the 10-year plan. And the time frame is that we should have a draft by May, because it has to be reviewed by the DOA director. And then MD expects the plan to be submitted to them by the 1st of June. So it's just a draft plan. And what MD will be looking at is if the report satisfies the required outline and content of the report. So I reiterate that it's just a draft plan, and that MD will be providing their comments in terms of improving the content and also the format of the report, the substance of the report. And then MD will return the document, and DOE will submit the report to the county executive and the county council for approval, for deliberation. And then the county council will open up the plan for public comments. So that's the time frame for the 10-year plan updating. There will be an opportunity for comments by the public, including the SWAC membership, to further improve the plan. As I mentioned in the previous meeting, for example, Sheriff Club had substantial comments on the current on the current 10-year plan. And the county council requested RRD to make sure that the comments are incorporated. So I'd like to assure your group that whatever comments that you will make will be considered in the plan. Being a public document, the comments of the public is very much considered in the report. And the final report has to be approved by MDE by January 2024. So which means that by December of this year, all the comments and the revisions have been added in the report, and it's been approved by the county council and the county executive office.
Kevin, I've started going through the old plan, I guess the 2020 plan, and I was going to be trying to make some comments, which I guess I would be sending to you or also maybe to the SWAC members. Does that make sense to look at that? I know that will probably be already being updated by your office. But does it make sense to start sending in comments now that might be included in your new draft?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I was
So
also
Kevin-
wondering, because I was thinking about how this would work. Say, for instance, I have 20, 25 comments and other people have a bunch of comments. It might be sort of difficult to have to go through that document and then say, well, was that changed? Was that examined, or did that have any effect? I'm wondering if it would be possible to have the staff go through all of our comments and say, yeah, we accepted that. No, we couldn't accept that. We changed that here. Because it's really difficult to go through a 230-page document looking for places where something may or may have not been added.
Yes, so RRD will consolidate the comments. For sure, there will be similar or comments that can be grouped as as one category. But we will review all the comments that we will accept, that we will be getting from your group.
No, but I think, Kevin, I think Dave was asking a different question. You say that you're going to consolidate the comments and review them. But what Dave was asking, I believe, Dave, correct me if I am misspeaking. I thought you were asking that each comment that we made, we would get just a quick little notation. Yes, incorporated on page 37, or no, we think this is garbage, or, whatever. But that we know for each comment we made, not for what you determined is the consolidated version of a whole bunch of comments. Was that correct, Dave?
Yes, that was what I was thinking. Yes.
So the first step is to look at the individual comments, try to see if they can be added in the report. So that's how we're gonna do it. Look at the individual comments first, and then if there are similar comments, they can be organized and categorized.
Right,
Would it
but
be
Dave
good-
was not asking for the organization or categorization. He was asking for the feedback from DOE to us as having provided these comments on if they are being incorporated, acted on, or ditched.
Barbara, I was wondering too if it might make sense to have all of the commissioners send comments to you, and then you could then send it as a group document to DOE.
Well, I mean, we have asked the commissioners at several meetings worth for 4 months now to send in comments. We got a bunch from Bill, very kindly. Got a couple from Nyla. I sent in a whole bunch. I'm blanking who else sent in, and I apologize for blanking. So I think they have kind of gotten those.
I
So
think
the-
one thing that Nancy mentioned a little bit earlier, I think it's always good to have some kind of a deadline, because I think these things will just slide if you don't know that what the real deadline is. And I think that would be helpful. I know I work better with a deadline.
Okay, your deadline's next week. Get your button gear.
Excuse me, all. This is Jonathan. Myself, I work better with a deadline and a timeline of when things need to be done. That is the only way I can function properly. So we need a timeline, we need a deadline as to when to do certain things. And again, for the benefit of we, the new commissioners, we need to learn from the old timers, how things were done in the past. So because we are confused. Personally, myself, I am confused. I need to see template of what was done in the past, how this was done in the past, learn from it so that I can proceed. Thank you.
By template, you mean seeing the 2017 report, or I guess I don't know what you mean by the template.
The templates, how things were done. Say, for example, now we're talking about submitting suggestions, how those suggestions were being made. How was it consolidated? How do you consolidate it? I think it is better we give all our suggestions to the chair. Then we meet, the chair consolidate all this and submit it as a group, instead of everybody giving suggestions, sending it to wherever it needs to be. The chair should be the one to consolidate all this suggestion and submit it. Is that the way it was done in the past? I don't know. That is one example right there. Thank you.
Bill, you're probably the only one who was on in 2017. Do you remember how it was done? Bill?
Bill's muted.
I'm not knowing, is he listening to, or is he just, Bill, are you trying to talk?
Unmute
Okay.
yourself.
Okay, so I have, well, now I gotta go find it again. I have what the comments were that were presented in 2016, December 2016, for whatever that's worth.
But were they done through the chair, or just over several months, they asked for comments and they were sent to the liaison?
Now you're starting to go on memories that are, quite a few
Okay, because
years
that's what
old, but-
Jonathan is asking, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is this, I can provide Jonathan a copy of the comments that were provided on the last one that was done by the Solid Waste Advisory Commission when I was involved with it then. Again, it's dated December 29th, 2016. As far as the process that went by, and then I have another one, another document that was my editing of those comments that was done in January of 2017. And that's as much as I got on that. So that's,
Okay, I will
that's my,
appreciate-
that's,
well, I will appreciate if I can get those. Thank you.
sure.
May I
So
ask
Kevin, would it be helpful if we would get back all of the comments that the SWAC members make, and that Dave's comments when they're added in, and that I try to put them in what I think is a standard format, or since you guys have already consolidated them in what you think is going to be useful for you, have you kind of done that already?
Yes, so I can provide feedback to your group. as we progress with the updating of the 10-year plan, we can I can certainly do that and check whether your comments are added there in the report. So just to share with you, when we did the updating of the current 10-year plan, so Shara Club had a lengthy list of comments, and so they submitted their comments to the county council, and the county council wrote to us to respond to the comments of Shara Club, and so we responded to their comments, and then the county council asked us to respond to them whether we responded to the question of Shara Club. So that was the process with how we responded to the Shara Club comments. It was
But
through the
those,
county council.
those were comments she made at the time after the draft had already been through EPA and was sent out for public comment.
That's correct. Yes, it
Yeah.
was during the public
Yeah.
comment period.
So that's a different time, I believe, than what Jonathan is talking about, which is getting our prior suggestions in for the initial writing of it.
Mhm. But yes, yeah, I can provide feedback to your group regarding your comments. Since we're having this monthly meeting and we're constantly communicating, I can provide feedback.
Barbara, I'm wondering if it'd also be helpful, because if it goes through, like, say, for instance, you, there may be several of us who may raise the same comment, and maybe it'd be better to, you know, put in a single comment rather than having it repeated 3 times or something. If we're all
Well,
sending
that's,
the
I think,
comments.
what Kevin says he has done in taking, because there were probably,
Mhm.
what, I mean, Bill had 15 comments and I had, I don't know, 30 comments, and, you know, Nyla had a couple, and I'm not sure if other people submitted any, I can't remember. But I mean, you have already done quite a bit of consolidating here, Kevin. You know, you're down to whatever it is, 10, 11, whatever, 10. So there's been quite consolidated already.
Right. And
Um,
if you have more comments, just let me know.
Kevin, could you send this this particular page out to all of us? I think it'd be good for me to have as I'm going through the 2020.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, maybe Kevin, if you don't mind sending this page out and the comments you have received from the different SWAC members
Okay. Yes.
up till that, to date so far. And that will also let the SWAC members go through and see that they feel that their comments have been to their liking summarized in your summary suggestions, so that
Okay.
everybody will be on the same page.
Okay, I will do that.
Great. Terrific. Okay, anything more on the 10-year solid waste plan,
I have a question.
please?
Going back to the 2017 plan, was there ever a response to the suggestions that were submitted then as to which ones were adopted and which ones were maybe tabled for another time?
So, what we did with the previous 10-year plan was, as I mentioned, in the case of Shara Club's comments, we responded to them through the county council. I'm not sure if I'm responding to your questions correctly, Ms. Carpenter, but yes, we respond to the questions, and we updated the county council that we have responded to the questions of Shara Club. So it was a two-way process.
Okay, were those
Uh,
responses published anywhere? Did they
No,
come back to
only
the-
only the final report, the final 10-year plan
Okay.
is reported, is published
Okay.
for public consumption. But the comments, no, they're not published at all.
So maybe for completeness, since Bill is going
Hmm.
to try to kindly dig out or has dug out the compiled comments that were being sent in, if Kevin, you wouldn't mind also forwarding to us what DOE sent to the SWAC about their assessment of these comments,
Okay.
since you have that document. Just, I think, as Jonathan says, it'll help us learn a little more about the history of how this group has worked. Because Sheila, just for background, so the SWAC had existed, and then it had gone comatose for a bunch of years. And then they tried to revive it about, I don't know, 2 years ago when a bunch of us got on again.
Okay,
And a few of the people like Bill were on the earlier one also, and Charles, who isn't here today, but is a longtime member. So they have, more historical knowledge than us newbies.
yeah, I just didn't know if the comments and suggestions went in, but no feedback ever came back out, so. It's
Yeah, no,
always
I think-
good to know what was implemented and what was said, no, we can't do that at this time, maybe, or whatever. So that was it. I'll be quiet.
No, that's an excellent idea. And I think it's very kind that Kevin agreed to send out those comments, just that we can see how the process worked. So I think this is really good. All heads, multiple heads are better than one. This is showing. Okay, and time is getting really short. So let's see, that was number 3. Number 4 was,
So number 4, update on the joint landfill methane emission study. The non-disclosure agreement, we have submitted the document to UMD for the review, and we have received their comments yesterday. They have some comments. For example, they want a clear start and end date for the research, and they want some information to be classified as confidential, to be listed down, to be enumerated, so all the parties involved are aware of what documents to take care of. So those are their major comments, and our Office of Law is reviewing the non-disclosure, and once there is an agreement, the non-disclosure will be sent back to UMD for signature and for execution.
great.
So hopefully within, this month or early March, we will have the non-disclosure, and then the research can push on, continue, start with the research.
That would be fantastic. As I've said to Dave often, I feel that if we have done anything to help move forward this joint work between MDE and University of Maryland on the methane survey, that would be just such a feather in the cap of the SWAC.
Yes.
So that'd be just so cool.
Kevin, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I was on that tour when we went to several places, including the MRF. We went over to the rubble fill, which is almost across the street from our major landfill. But I don't remember recalling whether there was any methane collection there, or is that just a rubble fill, and that isn't a place where we're collecting methane?
They said that they surveyed it, that there wasn't anything to collect. They said that they do a lot of surveys.
I'm a little bit surprised because I know there's no food going in there, but you have a lot of wood and you have drywall, all of which probably eventually disintegrates and probably produces methane. So, but that's just a layman's comment.
Mhm.
Kevin, do you have any, can you give me any
So
more
I-
information about that?
I can check, but as far as I recall, I'm not very sure of this, but only the landfill has the collection system, the methane monitoring system. For the compost, I'm not aware, but I can check it. But because we also submit report to the Maryland Department of Environment, and I know that they require some information about methane. And so I assume that there are like not permanent methane monitoring, study or research. Probably they do it once they visit the facility using their mobile monitoring system. I think that's what they do. But I can check.
Dave,
whether-
the
Kevin,
the
just to,
document that I sent you today sort of goes through a lot of detail about how all that happens.
are you asking? Oh, I didn't see that.
Mhm. It was I sent 3 documents that I came across today. I copied you in an email to Barbara.
Yeah.
And
I
there were
was-
3 attachments. One actually was a letter at the end of the year talking about there's apparently new regulations that have been recently passed at the very end of 2022 that give more direction on, it's a little more stringent, I think, monitoring and requirements. But those I included, one is a very technical document that I started to look at, and it has a lot of information about the monitoring in that document.
Yeah,
I think it would
I
be
was
very
out,
helpful.
I was out all afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to look at my email, so that's why I missed that. But I will look at that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Nancy, I was out also all afternoon. I just got back right before, opened it up and said, whoa, look at that information, and was going to ask if you have time, if you could summarize it, but I think we probably are not going to have time today to do that.
Yeah, well, I can't say I've read it all myself,
Yeah.
but
Okay, so maybe if we're thinking about methane during the month, then we can do something for next meeting on it. Okay, time moving right along. What is durable medical equipment drop-off?
Okay, so Nancy, regarding the community forklift situation, there's no update yet from Andrea, but we'd like to inform your group that we have submitted a grant proposal to the EPA because we plan to pilot a gently used furniture diversion program. We have submitted our grant proposal to EPA last week. I think the deadline was February 15. And if we get approved with the proposal, we will be piloting a gently used furniture program, which will be distributed to residents who need it. And we will team up with nonprofits, we plan to team up with nonprofits like Community Forklift to have that program moving. So that's the plan. Hopefully, we're hoping that we will get that funding from EPA for the pilot program.
is that going to be at, where is that going to be housed?
So the plan is to have that temporary storage at the close to the landfill. There's no definite location yet, but we plan to have the temporary storage close to the landfill. That's the initial plan. I'll get more information from Marlon. But yeah, we'll just wait.
Is there actually a plan that we could take a look at?
I'll get that information from Marlon. I just got that.
Can we look at the plan you submitted to EPA?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Great. So you'll forward us that EPA application?
We can. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
So
So-
Kevin, in terms of medical equipment, The organization in the region that does most with equipment is a group called Yahad. I don't know any of the other local groups that really.
Lions, a lot of the local Lions clubs have wonderful used medical equipment.
Okay, so the Lions Club and Yahad, and I don't know, are you gonna, is this, the county's gonna collect the durable medical equipment and they're gonna redistribute it to nonprofits?
So yes, we have started collecting used medical equipment at the landfill at our convenience center. And drop-off is on weekdays. It's from Monday to Friday. And yeah, we have collected some, and we bring it to a centralized refurbishment center for cleaning and repair, and then reissue to Maryland residents by partner organizations. So we have started
what?
doing that.
So
we have
you're
started
doing that already.
Yes, from last month, yes.
Cool.
And we have developed this outreach material. We will be posting this on on the website just to inform the residents of what we accept.
So it's going through the Department of Aging?
I think so, yes.
So for people who want to access the reused equipment, they have to go through the state's Department of Aging to do that?
I think so, yes. Yes. The county does the collection.
And where is there was there a plan for this? How did this come about?
I think there was an instruction from the state on this. Again, I'll clarify with Marlene again on this. But yes, there was guidance from the state on this program. And so the county initiated on this medical drop-off program at the county level.
Okay,
Kevin,
so I haven't, this is the first time I've heard about this.
Kevin, I have a question. I understand how it's being accepted and where it's being accepted at, but what about, and maybe I just missed what you said, but how is it then being redistributed, or is it going to some of these groups that probably could use the equipment, the nonprofits?
So as Nancy said, it's being managed by the Department of
Aging.
the Aging, yes. So it's centralized, and the counties help in the collection of used medical equipment.
So it would be interesting to know more, actually, to see a plan for this, if that was developed in order to get this off the ground, to understand, learn a little bit more about it.
All right, I'll get more information, and I'll be reporting this on your next monthly meeting, and just collect more information on this.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you bringing this up to us. On the flip side, I'm a little surprised that the SWAC wasn't alerted to this coming as a future thing before it's already a known thing and on the website. And it feels again like we're sort of the outside poor siblings who aren't included in things. Or maybe I'm just being unnecessarily sensitive.
I'll try to retrieve the plan for this program and yeah, share with you on how.
Kevin, is there some kind of planning document that the Department of Environment uses for its programming that we could also see, that would give us a sense of what department plans are for 2023?
Let me see, but basically it's the programs that we introduce are need-based, or if it's required by a legislation. But in terms of the planning, the way we plan it, we introduce it. Again, I will check with Marlene.
I mean, I would imagine whether it's need-based or not, whatever the process is, there would be, you know, I would imagine in programming, there'd be a, you know, a document that was anticipating directives from the state and regulatory changes and so forth. That might give us a heads up on sort of things to anticipate.
Okay, yes. But one major consideration is the budget, of course. If it's something that's feasible from a financial perspective,
Mhm.
that's one of the considerations of RRD when introducing programs.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one of my assignment as well. I'll look into it, Nancy.
Okay.
Hey, Kevin, can I ask a quick question? Was the
Sure.
purpose of this program to keep things out of the landfill?
Yes. To introduce reuse and recycling of materials that can still be recovered rather than be disposed of at the landfill.
Okay, because I was trying to figure out, solid waste, where it all fit in as to how it came under, that purview. So
Mhm.
that was the only thing I could come up with, but I said, well, let me just verify that that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
part
so-
of. Go ahead, Nancy. Sorry.
No, I just might be helpful that any durable goods that could potentially be disposed of as some form of solid waste where they can be recovered and reused. So the focus here is on reuse and redistributed back to the community. That's an item that would fall under the Solid Waste Commission.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And it's part of RRD embracing the principle of circular economy, reuse, refurbishment, redistribution. And we would like to emphasize that the use of the landfill is only for residual disposal. So if we can recover as much materials as we can, then it's good for the county and for the community. That's the principle behind it.
Kevin, the other thing is, this is a side thing, and maybe we could talk about it another time, but I noticed that the focus is on, it's on mobility equipment. It's not necessarily on other kinds of medical equipment. So we don't have to talk about that now, but it's,
Well, it's
that's why I think
clearly
having
not.
more-
Because
What?
they say hospital beds in there, and that's not mobility.
Well, that's true. But they don't have, there's electronics like CPAP machines and other kinds of equipment that I don't see there. So
Yeah.
it seems like it's certain items that's the focus.
Right. Yeah. I think initially
much-
these are the items that are being accepted, and then as we develop, as we progress with this program, then other materials can be accepted.
But the donations that are being accepted include much more. So a CPAP machine might be a much more.
Or a power chair, a lift. Looks like there's a lot of possibilities for other items. Maybe they're just starting out with what's easiest.
The most common.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
The non-hazardous part, I guess.
A lot of those items are provided by insurance companies when there's, injuries and stuff like that. And I can say from personal experience, walking the streets, when people are finished with them, they're quite happy to make sure those things never enter their lives again, and they toss them out. I've gotten several pairs of crutches and stuff myself, just, seeing them around, I think a lot of it has to do with where these are not things that a lot of times people are making the investments in. It's something that the insurance company is providing them as part of their care. So that may have an instance of on how, let's say, readily collectible things are versus otherwise.
Good point.
Sorry, just a clarification, Nancy. I just got a clarification from Marilyn because I asked who is managing this drop-off program. So it's being managed by MES, and they work with the Department of Aging to get the refurbished equipment distributed to people in need. So it's MES managing this drop-off program in partnership with the Department of Aging.
Great, thank you.
Cool. And so we can look on the website to see what is up there about this information, or is there more than the page that you just showed us, Kevin?
I think for now, what you will see is the outreach material on the drop-off program. Since
How
we
were, how
just
were
started it,
citizens, how were citizens alerted to it, or they have to stumble across it on the website?
so social media, and then I know that when there are community meetings, we disseminate this information. But we utilize our social media platforms to share this program.
Could we trouble you to send a copy to the SWAC of the social media postings?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Because, you know, I'm not a Facebook person, so I wouldn't know what you have had up there, but it would be interesting to see. Okay, so now having said we're going to spend half the meeting on number 3 through 5 to have half the meeting for number 1, if we want to officially end at 7 o'clock, we're already ended by 3 minutes. So do we want to talk about the role of the SWAC and have the meeting go another half hour? Or do we want to log off? I leave that to you guys.
I thought the last time we had this conversation, the role of the SWAC is already determined by the bylaw. We do have a
It
bylaw.
really isn't. It isn't. The bylaws say what you can do. The question is, what I was wanting that we discuss is what it really seems like we are doing. Are we doing anything, or are we spinning our wheels?
We are doing something now. We've made some suggestions. We're tabulating all our suggestions. We form committee. We're doing something. To the best of my knowledge, myself and David are members of the a committee, and we've been talking. And there are other groups that are in the committee, and they've been compiling other stuff. We just saw some suggestion made by other SWAC members. We are doing something. We just have to see how we can do it more effectively. That's my point.
The other thing that I found interesting is that, as Kevin has here summarized as the final entry in this list, which is actually the top entry in the one on the legislative mandate, is we are to submit suggestions, blah, 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 to the county executive and county council. So not just the annual report, but also suggestions on various things. And I guess the question is if we should be taking that up. Because we have been making comments entirely to, I mean, Andrea Crooms at those very occasional SWAC meetings that she comes to, and Kevin, and then to Marilyn at the meeting she comes to. And then Kevin takes them back to whoever who does whatever with them. But should we also be putting occasionally together some thoughts, some documents, and submitting them to the county council and the county executive, as our mandate says we can do?
That is the bylaw. Our bylaw specifically said we make suggestions, we make recommendation to the county council and to the county executive office. It was stated like that on the bylaw. There is nowhere in the bylaw that stated that we said something to Andre Kroom or whoever. The bylaw specifically say to the county council or to the county and to the county executive office.
Right, and so does the legislative mandate says that too, which is where the bylaws copied it from. But maybe we should think about doing that. What are
Barbara,
people's thoughts?
I don't think we can go wrong do what the bylaws say. We can use the bylaw as our Bible. They say as our framework of doing things.
I don't think we're using the right language. I think we're really talking about the duties that are set out legislatively that provide the parameters of what this group is supposed to do. And what I understood was that there were concerns both about the duties and powers that needed to be revisited, that there was a desire to revisit that in the cause of finding more effectiveness and focus for this group. And that's what I understood, that's sort of what we were thinking about. And so I think the question is, do we want to revisit the purpose and the direction of the powers and duties, or do we feel like that's sufficient? If it is sufficient, then I think what we need to discuss is really setting out each year an annual plan for the group, what the group will actually undertake each year and attempt to accomplish. If we feel like the powers and duties are not sufficient, then I would recommend that we pull together a committee who can look at other groups like ours and make recommendations for change.
I also think that how we operate or what we do as a group, or maybe subdivide into some committees. For instance, I think last time, Jonathan, you and I were going to look into the methane issue. You and I haven't done that.
I was on that too, Dave.
Yeah. And so I think maybe getting into smaller committees and addressing certain problems, which we think are problems, would help us, and maybe giving us deadlines, because sometimes open-endedness, like you said earlier, doesn't really help. You have to have something you're working toward.
And it gives more than 1 hour a month.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is something we need to address in the near future. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Anybody
Any
second?
seconds? Any seconds on the motion to adjourn? Going once? Going twice? So you are certainly welcome, Jonathan, at any time. We're not going to keep you longer than
Thank you.
7. But I think it sounds like other people might like to stay on a little longer and talk a little more.
Barbara, maybe it would also be good to spend next month's meeting more time on this particular thing. We kind of pushed it to the back of this. Maybe
Yes.
it would be better that would be maybe the primary goal of next month's meeting, and we could all think about it in the meantime.
Sounds like a good plan. Mohammed, I hadn't seen you either. I don't understand how this.
Can you see me?
I can see you now. Have you been here the whole time, or and you just came onto my screen, or did you just join?
No.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I joined the meeting at about 7, exactly 7.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah, no,
apologize
sorry.
for not seeing you on my screen. I don't understand how this stupid PC is working. You were not shown on my screen until right now. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I apologize. So comments from you. I apologize you haven't been in the discussion because I didn't see you to try to include you.
Oh, I've been there the whole time, but I
Well,
have,
make some
Yeah.
comments on what we've talked about.
yeah, I don't have much to say other than, I joined it, and then maybe next time we will all discuss about our role and better understand basically what the bylaws.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of what the bylaws say our role is and what the legislative mandate that set up the SWAC says. Because the bylaws are pretty, not verbatim, but pretty closely taken from the legislative mandate. And so if we don't like that, then we have to go back to the county council to get the mandate changed. So I think things we would like to do before we take the time of going to the county council to try to get a mandate changed. A lot of the things are written fairly loosely and make recommendations on systemic programs and alternative methods for public and private for storage and collection, transportation, processing, disposal, and resource recovery of solid waste. Everything we do fits within that. So we have a mandate to do most anything we want, I think, with this.
Yeah,
Barbara,
but-
I take the mandate as being more of oversight, impact, and evaluation functions. They're not really program functions. They're oversight functions, which makes sense to me for a commission. So we don't have any authority. That's one of the problems.
No, not of these commissions do. That's a problem with all of these commissions.
Well, it's commissions.
Or
some
most of them,
commissions-
most of them.
Well, I think that's a question of what kind of authority, if any, we want the commission to have. There are commissions that are solid waste commissions which have more authority than we do.
You mean in other jurisdictions?
Yes. So, and as you said, I think that the language is pretty broad, but it is a broadly an oversight activity that the commission appears to do without a lot of focus. The other thing I think that's an issue is that there are new groups like the climate change group and the environmental justice group, which it would be really nice for us to have an official relationship with some of those groups because, for example, the climate change group really deals with methane and deals with gas emissions. And we deal with that too. And having a relationship with them and what they're doing, I think would be helpful. So I think there's a number of questions that could be on the table about what we're doing, and if we feel like that we're comfortable with how it's laid out. And we could change that. We could recommend that it be changed, or as I said, we could focus more using what's already there and develop, a kind of strategic plan for each year. But
Yeah,
at the
I
moment,
think-
we don't have any, I don't feel like we have a lot of direction.
Yeah, I think as we've been doing it, of just meeting the whole group for 1 hour a month, sort of course, very little gets done
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
very
so little
yeah.
time.
Mhm.
So if we do, in fact, do committees and do more work within, then we might get more done.
Well, I would recommend then that we create a committee that basically deals with the SWAC itself. That there's some kind of group that looks at its own, duties and powers, etc. Its own
Okay.
structure.
Who would like to be on the SWAC Duties and Powers Committee? Nancy?
I suppose.
I would.
Dave,
Yes,
Me too,
Mohammed.
yes. But I would like to emphasize that we basically don't have the authority we think we have. So our main function is just to provide guidance and input.
Absolutely.
So they can be taken into consideration, or they can just be put under the table. So, but we can do more if we come up with a good plan to engage
Mhm.
DOE and the council members and
Mhm.
maybe the county executive office too, because we we are mandated also to provide guidance and advice to the county executive office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is an advocacy function, I think, to have some of the key players understand the importance of what we're doing or the subject matter.
And I think we have a much more receptive county council now.
Absolutely.
So we might be.
Yeah, the
actually-
timing is good to make something happen.
And I think something that Barbara harps on every month, which I think is really important, is education and outreach, because the messaging is really important. And I think that's where we all fall down sometimes.
Well, I think it has to be a structural process that the county has a process, that process has to be something that's, engineered through public resources and public outreach. And
I mean, that's what we've been trying to get involved in that and been being told very clearly by Andrea Krubs and people in DOE that they're not interested in us being involved in that.
But Barbara, I think there's a difference between us sort of making a case to edit a newsletter or something and say, that we like to review what their program is and say it's not enough. I'm just saying, for example, maybe it is, I don't know, I'm just saying. But for us to look at what's the program, what's the plan for the outreach and the marketing of this from the county perspective, what's the county actually doing and how does it measure its impact? And we can have input on that, where I think the impact, the input we have might be more effective, is to say, okay, there needs to be much more and more resources need to be allocated for this or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying I know what it is, just saying that as the oversight function, we can push them in the direction to spend more time and resources on certain things that we think are critical.
And if we're making comments to the county council, we can argue for more resources overall.
Exactly. Well, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I think, hopefully, our own people that we're connected to, that the Sarah Club and other groups, will push for, some of these items in the public funding arena. I mean, it could be something even as simple as the county's willing to put out grants for different county marketing groups or county nonprofits to do campaigns on various, environmental issues.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see when Kevin forwards what was sent to in for the grant on the repurpose facility.
Yeah, but I'd like to see what the plan is for the outreach and marketing. What does DOE do? Because I presume that's where it's all coming from. What kind of outreach and education plan is there from coming out of DOE?
We have asked for that last spring.
Well, I
already.
think that's something we can ask for. I think that's something we can expect to get, is that there is a plan and we'd like to know what it is. Or if we need to, ask Andrea to come and, there should be a written plan and she could come and explain to us what they're doing. But I
Okay,
think
that
it's
sounds-
different than, Barbara, I think it's different than asking for really small specific things like we want to edit a newsletter.
Yeah.
I think we have a more powerful role to request and understand structurally what the department is doing. I mean, they have 600 employees and a huge budget. What does the department, that's something we should understand. And we have a right to expect to have that information.
Yeah. So I also want to add that I don't know whether it's within our power to ask if the department has ever been audited. If they are, what were the recommendations? How are they doing so far with the recommendations, if anything? Just to make sure the
What
county residents are getting.
recommendations? I'm
Oh,
sorry, I
when it-
didn't.
Yeah, whenever any agency or company is audited, basically there would be some findings and the recommendations can be made to improve their operations. So in this case, we would like to know whether there were any findings. If yes, what were the recommendations? How are they doing to improve functions?
Through which audit? I missed that.
Any audit, like a general audit for the department.
Oh, so we're just asking Andrea to come to us and say if there has been any audit, what were the recommendations and what
Yeah.
DOE has been doing.
Yep.
Okay. So is that a good plan, everybody, for the next meeting? What, because, well, first off, Andrea Krubs had, as you know, several times said she'd try to be at every second meeting of the SWAC. And she was here at the October one, but not the December, the January, the February, not the November, the December, the January, or the February. So maybe Kevin can put pressure on her to be at the March one.
Well,
And
Barbara,
then,
maybe you should reach out to her as the chair. I would suggest that you reach out to her as the chair.
I certainly shall. Yes, I have a couple of times reached out to her and said I had hoped she would come to meetings, that she
Yeah.
didn't. So it's not that I haven't tried.
No, I'm not saying you haven't, but I would.
I will try again. Yes. So maybe if Kevin and I both try to get her to come to the March SWAC meeting, and then
Unless, so I think you want to think about the agenda. If you want to spend the meeting mostly talking about the structure of the SWAC, you may or may not want her there because the meeting will get taken up with her. If you want her there, then it's a different meeting. So I think we have to decide what's a priority.
but like
the
what you
meeting
had
is
just said,
short.
that would like to understand the DOE's plan and the structurally the DOE.
Yeah,
For that, I think
yep.
we need her there,
Okay.
right? And what Mohammed was saying of if there have been any reviews and recommendations and what happened.
Yeah, I mean, there should be both planning documents and impact documents. I mean, there should be material about the department available. It's a big department with a big budget, and I'm sure the county council requires that.
That might be, getting that information could be real useful for our thinking for the future.
Absolutely. Well, give us a better
Yeah.
idea, give us a lot more education about how to be better informed commission members, for sure.
Yeah, because I'm feeling like we are supposed to, as they say, we're making these supposedly recommendations of these things, but we don't have any information from
Right,
the DOE on any of this stuff
right.
to make recommendations on. So,
Yeah, I mean, it feels really hard to talk about some of these projects or programs, and we really don't entirely know the history or even where things stand or what's failed, what's succeeded.
right.
And it's complicated. I mean, the what's happening with the commodities markets, there's a lot of complicated things with this area. The stuff I was reading these documents on methane, it's pretty interesting, but it's complicated.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, if anything had a simple answer, it'd be solved.
Well, maybe not.
Okay, naive. But yeah. So
Okay.
would that be a plan, though, that we try for the, hopefully for the March meeting to get Andrea to address these things that Nancy and Mohammed just suggested would be good to have
So Barbara, I
addressed by a
think we should
knowledgeable person.
approach Andrea and make a formal invitation and get a confirmation of whether she's going to come or not. If she's not going to come, we can, at that particular meeting, maybe she'll come to a different meeting. Then we can plan for the use of the time for some of these other items we've talked about. But we shouldn't wait till the day of to see if she's going to show up. She needs to say, yes, I will be there, or no, I won't be there.
Okay. Okay, I will send that out as soon as possible. Would you
Okay,
all like
great.
to review my email to her before I send it out, or should I just send out
No,
something?
you can just send it.
Okay. Should I put in, Nancy, your and Mohammedan's suggestions on what we'd like to hear, or first just invite her to it?
I think I wouldn't put us as individual members. I would just say we'd like to talk about, the department. And
I wasn't going to say to give your names of who suggested it. But should I say things we would like to hear about?
Yes, I would tell her what we want to hear about, what the purpose, what we'd like to know about, and can she help provide, supporting documents in advance so we could, be better educated as to, what's going on. I actually was thinking about when I was talking to Dave today about the possibility, and I don't know if this is possible, maybe for another conversation with Kevin, don't want to burden the staff too much, but it would be really great to have some place online where a lot of the documents and things could just be kept so everybody could find them. I don't know if there's such a vehicle that exists within the structure of how these commissions or any of these groups work. But I sent 3 documents out today, and I thought, it'd be great to have a place like, like Dropbox, in the private sector, there's tools you share and use, or even Google Docs or something. But don't have to figure that out tonight, but it's just a thought that would make everyone have access to all the materials simultaneously would be very nice.
Nancy, I will ask Marlene. Certainly, it's a good suggestion for a centralized file where you can
Yeah.
access all the documents. Yeah, I will ask Marlene about it.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yes.
It'd
I'm
save a
gonna
lot
have-
of work too.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to leave right now. but,
Okay.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so I will draft up a letter to Andrea and Nancy. If it's okay, I will send it to you because you have very good ideas for this,
Sure,
that we work together on that.
sure.
Fantastic. Any final comments? Bill, we've heard very little from you.
No, I have to leave at 7:30.
Okay, we're
1 minute.
1 minute. Mohammed?
I think those were the ideas that I had about the meeting today. So maybe in the next meeting, we will talk more about our role and how we can how we can be more efficient.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Any final words, Dave?
Nope.
Final words, Nancy?
I've said plenty.
Final words, Kevin?
Oh, thank you. So
Thank you,
yeah.
Kevin.
You're welcome. So I have my assignments, and I will provide feedback to you via email or before the meeting. So yeah, I'll do the request that you made.
Appreciate
provide
that so much. Okay,
Yeah,
just
I
my
just-
quick final comments. So Kevin, I have to apologize. I don't want to sound like we're dumping on you or dumping on DOE. It's just, I think people have a frustration that we want to be more effective at helping DOE, helping solid wastes. And there's a feeling like we're not able to be as effective as we hoped we could be. And there is some feeling that we're being kept at arm's length, and that is reducing our effectiveness. And I think that that's a frustration that's coming out, but it's not meant at all of dumping on you, and we appreciate your help.
No problem. It's my job. So yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Barbara.
Thank
Okay,
you
so
all so
make a
much for coming
motion,
to the
we
meeting.
close the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
I second it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.